Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ross Kadas, and I am the Vice President of the Black Business and Professional Association and your moderator for today's edition of Ask a Professional. Today, we're delighted to bring you a day in the life featuring the world's second largest food and beverage company, Pepsi Co. Before we dive into the introductions, let us begin with our land acknowledgement.
What can I do for you?
I'll just go ahead and read it in the interest of time. So as we gather together, we acknowledge the sacred land on which we reside. It has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years. The land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and most recently the Mississaugas of Credit River. The territory was the subject of the Dish of One Spoon, Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and the Confederacy of Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, this gathering place is still the home to many indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We're mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make things right. I'm sorry, I lost it. Matt, can you put it back up, please? My apologies, everyone. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all relations. Last but certainly not least, we acknowledge people of African descent who were brought here against their will or in search of a safe place to live their lives and raise their children. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Madam Edie. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our Executive Director, Frances Del Sol. Frances, I hope you don't mind, but I would like to invite you to say to the folks on the call today.
Well, I just want, if you take a few seconds to thank the folks at Pepsi Co for your commitment. When you came to the table last year and spoke to us about wanting to be involved in the BBPA, I thought that was really putting your money where your mouth is, and that you recognize the need for an organization like ours to collaborate with one as huge as yours. So I want to say thank you, not just for the bubbly that you provided us, but for significantly more. I look forward to great things happening between your company and organization. Your staff has been wonderful to work with. And I know that there are bigger things on the horizon for us. I know that you enjoyed the Harry Jerome Awards, and we are more than just that. We have a lot of programs that we offer, including this one that we're doing today. And I'm hoping that we can have discussions going forward as to how the BBPA and PepsiCo can continue this great collaboration. So thank you for being here, and thanks for supporting us in this initiative.
Awesome. I got to tell you, I really like bubbly. It's one of my favorite drinks now. So as we go through this afternoon's conversation, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat box or raise your hand or your virtual hand using the hand icon below, and we will unmute you so that you can share. Now, to start us off, we'll take a few moments to have each one of our panelists briefly introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their background in the industry. So let's start with Helena, ladies first. Helena?
Thank you, and good morning. So my name is Helena, and I've worked with PepsiCo on the beverage side for 10 years. So I grew up in the field organization, so really working with our team that I'll call make and move our products. So in store, in our warehouses, getting it off our trucks. But currently I've worked in sales strategy. So I develop and execute the sales strategy for our small format business, which is really convenience and gas, drug and the dollar chains in Canada.
Excellent, thank you. Frank?
Hi, everyone. My name is Frank. Been with Pepsi Co for going on 3 years now. I currently lead the consumer insights for the Quaker portfolio within Pepsi Co. Prior to that, I worked with Diageo overseas, and I've always done consumer insights. So my role within the business is to pretty much be the engine upon which the marketing team drives on and provide that thought leadership for the brand marketers to continually build our great brands.
Thank you, Frank. And Roy? Rob, please. Robert.
Sorry. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. My name's Robert Foy. I lead the food service business here in Canada. So my team sells both food and beverage, so the full portfolio of PepsiCo brands into our food service channel. So that includes restaurants, hotels, cafeterias, all the recreational facilities. So 31 years with the organization, and I've had a chance to work really across both food and beverage business a couple times over the years. So pleasure to be here and look forward to spending some time with everybody.
31 years, that's a long time. Lots of insights there, I would bet. Dave, would you share a little bit with us?
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Dave Mocker. I look after HR on the food side of the business, so the Frito and the Quaker business. I'm a rookie relative to Robert. I have been with the company for 26 years, and I've worked across Canada and the US. And so excited to be with you guys today, and excited about our long-term partnership. That's the thing that excites me the most. And I know this is just the start of our journey. So I'm ready to go, and just excited for us to join this journey together. And I'm looking forward to a long pathway of success.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you so much for that. It's clear that there's such great wealth of experience in the panel today, and really looking forward for our conversation. When I think about PepsiCo, it's a huge organization. So I'll give each of you a moment to kind of tell us what attracted you to work for a company like PepsiCo. Why don't we start with Frank?
So there are a number of things that got me excited about working with PepsiCo, and I'll say this. So just to give a bit of background, I moved into Canada, or I immigrated into Canada in 2018. 5 months later, I joined PepsiCo. So I was still kind of trying to find my feet around Canada when I joined PepsiCo. One of the things that struck me immediately I walked through the doors of PepsiCo were the people. So the warmness I got, the warm reception from absolutely everyone. Absolutely everyone. I had people come up to meet me because, so before you join, they would have sent out an email that someone was joining. Please welcome him when he comes and things like that. So everyone knew me even before I resumed. And the people were extremely warm. I think that's one thing that excites me the most about PepsiCo. The second thing is our brand. Now we have amazing brands. And as you would know, we have so many brands. But what's unique about that is every single brand we have within the business has a purpose. And it's not just about putting out brands for the sake of putting out brands. It's about the purpose behind our brands. I think those two things, above everything else, excites me the most about working with PepsiCo.
Wow, that's very interesting. And you joined the company in 2018?
Yes, 2018, December 2018. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Helena, what about you?
Hey, so I would say similar to Frank, but I think it's really different in terms of what attracted me to PepsiCo. That has grown into really what I love about working here. So initially it was, hey, big brands. It seemed very fun, relatable, and tangible. But as you know, I've spent more time in the organization. What I love about the organization is so much more than that. So it is the people, as Frank said, really good group of people. It's fast paced, good opportunity for learning. I think we're forward thinking, in terms of sustainability and equality. And for me, one piece that really resonated is you get a high level of responsibility early on in your career. And I think that that's unique to Pepsi Co. And that you don't get in many other industries or organizations.
Wow, excellent. Now, you've been with the company for how long?
10 years.
10 years. Wow, interesting. So, Robert, being our most tenured Pepsi employee, what attracted you to PepsiCo?
Yeah, thank you. I'll rewind a little bit. It's actually when I first joined PepsiCo, at that point, we actually weren't as big as we are now. We really operated with 4 kind of distinct businesses in Canada. There was Quaker Oats Company and Frito-Lay and PepsiCo Beverages, and then a Tropicana business. So all of those businesses were kind of unique standalone companies at the time. So when I first joined, it felt like, 5 mid-sized companies versus this, this one super large organization it is today. And through that time, we've, merged groups and amalgamated the organizations. And I would say even today, even though we are a very large organization, it still feels like you can have an impact. It still feels like you can absolutely, have a great career and also, make contributions. It feels like you're a part of the family, whether that's your own, intact team, or whether it's part of, the larger food or beverage organization. So despite our size, it still very much has a culture of a place you can make an impact, and be proud to work. Frank and Helena both mentioned this. The biggest attraction once you're in this place is the people, the quality of the people you get to work with, and that's what keeps it interesting and what makes PepsiCo such a great place.
Excellent. And Dave?
I get asked this question a lot. And so for me, I have never veered away from this answer. The reason I joined PepsiCo is actually the reason that I've been here for 26 years. They absolutely run true. And, I'm just going to reiterate a couple of things. First of all, we have fantastic brands, right? And I love being part of a branded organization. I came to PepsiCo because I thought I would have a challenge. Been here for 26 years. Every day is a challenge. It is never dull. Joined PepsiCo because I knew it'd also be a growth company. And I love being part of an organization that is focused on growth, right? We never rest, right? The best time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining. And so that's us. We're always trying to challenge and grow. Number 4, similar to everybody else, I joined because I met incredible people, and I stayed because we have the best people. I would put our people up against anybody in any competition, and whatever I have, I'll wager and we will win because we have fantastic people. And then the last is we have a fantastic culture. We work hard, we play hard, but we have a culture where supportive, caring, and it's fun. And again, like Robert, we've been here a long time, yet I'm still as excited today after 26 years as I was in year 1.
Wow, incredible. I read an article a couple of days ago, and they were listing the top 10 reasons why people stay with a company. And traditionally, people think it's money and promotion, but I think each one of you have displayed the top 2, right? And it was a challenging job, okay, and the people. Those were the top 2. So that really lines up with your reasons, and that's incredible. Sounds incredible. So I'll pick on you, Frank. From your perspective, you are fairly new to the company. What makes a successful PepsiCo employee? And tell us, what do you love most about your job?
So I think there'll be different things for different people. But overall, I'll say what I was told by the vice president for marketing when I joined the business. He said to me, "Make sure you have fun," and that was the clear word he said to me. Make sure you have fun. I think the thing about PepsiCo is to be a successful employee. To Dave's point, you must work hard, but you must also be willing to play hard. We create fun brands, so we have to be fun people to create fun brand. There is also a strong sense of interconnectivity across all employees. The culture is strong. We have many points where we meet. So if I invited you, for instance, to the marketing department meeting, you won't realize to the department meeting because it's almost 90% fun and 10% anything marketing. But it's learning in a very fun way. What I've found across board is for you to be successful in PepsiCo, firstly, you have to have the sense of fun and be willing to have fun. But of course, you must also be willing to put in what it takes. Every day is a new challenge. We have to be on our toes every time to deliver on what the market wants. It's the same thing I love about my role. So my role is consumer insight, and consumer insight is very dynamic. It simply means I have to keep abreast of what's going on in the marketplace, particularly from a consumer perspective. So if you think about the past year we've been through, the pandemic, everything has changed. It's not so much about new behaviors coming forth. It's more about the acceleration of behaviors that had existed previously. Things have changed month to month. So as you go on lockdown, things change. As there's a news of things reopening, behaviors change. Everything is ever shifting, ever evolving. And I think that's one thing I've always loved about my role. No 2 days are the same. No two brands are the same. And so you learn something new every day. And it's that ability to learn something new that gets me excited every day about what I do.
Wow. Very, very interesting. I've had the opportunity to interact with different Pepsi through our partnership, different people, and truly, I can tell that each person that I've interacted with lived the brand. They really do live the PepsiCo brand, and that's amazing. Now, when we look at the food and beverage industry as a whole, it comes with a lot of moving parts in its ecosystem. The challenges with operations, there's supply chain, procurement, and all the other aspects. Robert, in your experience, what is the most challenging part of the industry, and how do you manage it?
I'll come at that from two ways. I'll talk about our business specifically, the food service business. So one of the things that's challenging and it's rewarding at the same time is the way we approach our contracts and our agreements with customers in this channel is they tend to be long-term. So we will work and usually sign agreements that are 3 to 5 years with our customers. And so it's great when you have them, but every 3 to 5 years, we have this window where we have to try to win a piece of business or renew a contract with a customer. And we have this head-to-head competition with our competitor. And so it's very rewarding when you win. It's kind of this high stakes environment where you either win it and you've got them, or you lose it and it goes to your competitor. It's a zero-sum game. So that's one of the things that is exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time around our business. This whole risk-reward around agreements. More recently, I'll tell you, one of the things we've been dealing with on the supply chain side is how to forecast the business through this pandemic environment, right? So, as consumers were restricted in the restaurant channel, volume spiked in other retail channels. So we've gone through this cycle of shutting down, reopening, shutting down, reopening through a few cycles in the last 15 months. And that's been very challenging as to how do we ensure that we supply our customers in the right way and get them the product that they want in what is a very difficult marketplace to forecast where they're going to show up. Are they going to show up in restaurants? Are they going to show up in convenience stores? Are they going to show up in grocery stores? So that has been a very interesting environment for all of us for the last 15 months.
Yeah, I would definitely imagine. So now I know for people that have just joined us, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand, and we will allow you to ask those questions. It's great insight today from our panel here. Dave, we've seen a great leap forward, and you as VP of HR, I'm sure you have as well, with many organizations as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and their strategy and how they approach that. What is Pepsi Co doing differently in its strategy to encourage a more inclusive environment for its employees?
Yeah, Russ, it is absolutely important to us. A couple things. So first thing, what I will say is the difference, I think, across PepsiCo, when you talk diversity, equity, and inclusion, is the belief through the entire organization that it's the right thing to do. And that it's in a, secondly, it's who we are. It's congruent with our values at PepsiCo. That's one of the biggest differences I notice, when I talk to leaders of other companies, when I tell them what we do and how we do it and why we do it, a lot of them will ask me, well, you don't have to do that. I'm going to go, yeah, you're right. We don't have to, but it's the right thing to do. And it's going to make us a better organization. And so when I look at all the things that we're doing now across the different ERGs, our Mosaic group, our Connect group, all the different groups we have, the thing that we're doing now that I think will differentiate is that we're giving these organizations more power to make a difference in our business. And I think that's the thing that I'm most proud of, is that, and Frank talked about it earlier, what does everybody love about PepsiCo and why do they stay? And for me, it's about, we make a difference every day in our culture. And so in our journey, we're going to continue to educate, we're going to continue to build awareness, but we're also going to continue to put it in the hands of our people to go make a difference. You're not going to see programs that are typically top-down driven. You're going to see programs that are organic. You're going to see people that are passionate about something, and they're going to, they'll come to me and say, hey, Dave, you should go do this. I'm like, I'm not going to go do it. But if you're passionate, you go do it. What support do you need? How do you? And so it's about having our people in the organization driving this journey. And I think it's also why we've been so successful as an organization for the last several years. It's not because of the old guys like Robert and I. We're not the smart ones. Let's be crystal clear about that, right? We're the ones that get in the way. It's because of the young, talented leaders like Frank, et cetera, that are coming into our organization, bringing a different perspective and challenging us, owning stuff and bringing it forward. So I think the differentiator is it's part of our culture. And secondly, it's individuals wanting to make a difference.
Yeah. You're so right, Dave. In the DI space, companies that embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion are typically companies that innovate better and move to the next level, because all of these ideas around the table, they're all new ideas, right? It's not the same idea. So that's great. That's great, and we can see it. We can see it too from a PepsiCo standpoint. Helena, I have a question for you. So the pandemic has disrupted how we live, how we do business, and I think Frank mentioned it, how we consume products. How has PepsiCo as a company and you as an employee reacted and adjusted to this disruption?
Yeah, it definitely has erupted really how our business has changed, and Robert touched a bit on that. How food service has taken a huge hit, but retail has boomed. And I think, at least for anyone that's working from home, you can relate to that. I think of our own fridge, and, it's full of products that we're consuming during the day because we're home 24/7 and we weren't before. When I think of, our portfolio, a lot of consumers are going more towards buying those take-home packs. So a 12-pack of, Pepsi or bubbly versus getting the products in convenience and gas that are on the go. just simply because, you know, the patterns of their life have shifted. When I think about as an organization how we've adapted, I think it's really twofold. We've got these employees who, you know, have been able to shift and work from home, right? Which is like every organization. And I think we've seen society as a whole be really resilient with this, and being able to change and, you know, start working in a completely new fashion. And I think at PepsiCo, we have done, you know, a really good job of, you know, incorporating different learning sessions of how to be most, you know, productive at home and how to find balance between, you know, your personal life and your work life, because they're very blurred right now. But we have this other part of our organization, and we've got thousands of employees that are working on our lines and are working in stores and are working in the field that haven't had this privilege to really work from home. And for them, I think it's, you know, we've had to adapt in terms of more than ever making safety our number one priority. When you think back in March and April last year, was this struggle to get PPE for these guys. Now it's keeping them safe, keeping them healthy so they can continue to make, move, and sell our product. We've seen what happens at, you know, big warehouses and organizations when the employees are not safe, and the ripple effect that has on the business is massive.
Wow. It's so true. And if I think about PepsiCo, certain number of people can work from home effectively, but, you know, suddenly through the pandemic and some people had to come in to continue to drive the business. And, you know, interestingly, the pandemic and working virtually has become such a big thing that it has almost opened a global workforce. Because now organizations realize that, you know, somebody can be sitting in the Caribbean and working for PepsiCo in Canada. So that's very, very interesting what the pandemic has done for most organizations. Now, Giovanni had a question. I don't know if you want to ask it, Giovanni.
Good day. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Can you? Perfect. Yeah. So I was just wondering, you know, how do you guys pivot? You kind of answered the question a little bit, you know, but how do you pivot in the beginning of the pandemic, you know, adjusting with suppliers, consumer habits, competition, stuff like that? You know, what was the hardest thing? Because I work in the beverage industry making beer, and we had a bunch of hurdles and stuff like that, suppliers with the cans and, you know, ingredients that got shipped from the States to Halifax. So there's like some things, and then as well, you know, consumption is going up. So how are your workers faring, you know, in this time of the pandemic?
Do you want me to?
You want to go? You go first, Robert.
First shot at it, yeah. And that great. It's a great question, and the beer business would have followed many of the similar trends we're seeing in beverages and snacks. Last year, if there was a word from this past year, it's been nimble, right? How do you adapt? You know, we went into last year, 2020, with a plan that we all felt good about, that we were going to go execute. And around March, that whole plan got thrown out the window, and we had to really kind of break it down and strike this balance of what's in front of us, and how do we solve it, right? I think we had 2 or 3 overriding principles, and Helena kind of touched on it, but it was get people home that could work from home, keep everybody else safe, and then keep our customers supply. It really kind of distilled the business down to its fundamentals, and then it was react, right? So we moved product around the country, we adjusted forecasts, we had to renegotiate contracts with customers because things changed. We had to ensure that we supported some of our customers in a much different way, change delivery schedules. You know, one of the things I think that helped us through last summer, we maintained our staffing levels for all intents and purposes as across PepsiCo in Canada. So food and beverage, and in fact, we probably, Dave might be able to speak this, we probably added some frontline workers. So, you know, despite the challenges, we we protected our people and made sure we kept our staffing levels whole. But it was, it was adapt and adapt and adapt and adapt. Every week, every day, you literally had to, adjust the playbook to what was in front of you, because none of us knew, right, what was coming at us, and so you had to stay very, very nimble.
And Giovanni, I mean, what's funny is when you asked that question on the chat line, I was typing something in as a response, and Elena was saying the exact same thing. And we have not rehearsed this at all. And Robert's point is a good one. I will tell you, as an ex-com, the first number one issue that we focused on when we went through that, when this hit, it was about employee safety. It had nothing to do with profits, net revenue, margin enhancement. It had nothing. It was like, if we're going to continue to provide product to our consumers, we have to take care of our people. And I can tell you, I've been here for 26 years. I was making decisions that were costing us hundreds of thousands of dollars and or millions of dollars in cost. And I never even thought about it. It was like, you know what? If the president wants to smack my hand later on or say, Dave, what on earth were you thinking? So be it. But it was like, we're going to do whatever it takes to keep our employees safe. And Robert's bang on, right? While we're doing all those other things, without a doubt, we can't make, move, and sell our products unless our people are comfortable and feel protected and that they felt safe. And it was the greatest challenge. I will never forget our first XCOM. The first discussion we had was it wasn't about the customer. It wasn't about our it was about what are we going to do to make sure that our employees are safe, which again, that just goes to, our culture and our values, right? So I thought it was pretty cool.
Just add a bit to that as well, and I absolutely agree with Dave and Robert. I think on the consumer end as well, one of the things we saw, two things that drove the marketing conversation was more around empathy, firstly, and of course, consumer centricity. And I must say that I've worked for a number of multinationals. Pepsi Co is the gold standard of consumer-centric decision making. So everything we did during that period was firstly to understand how is the consumer affected? So we had weekly data reports to understand the impact of this on consumers. So there was a financial impact, there was the mental health impact, there was the physical health impact, and how that translated into their consumption habits. And the decision that was taken as a business was always to be empathetic towards what consumers were going through at the time, because the impact was huge. A lot of us probably didn't understand the scale of it. But when you look at it from coast to coast on a national level, it was huge. And PepsiCo did an amazing job during that period of ensuring that whatever we communicated from a comms perspective or the way we positioned our brands was relevant and understanding of where the consumers were at that point in time.
Excellent, excellent. Any other thoughts? So, as we talk through PepsiCo as a company in Canada, even globally, most people recognize you for Pepsi, 7-Up, Mountain Dew, Buble, probably. But PepsiCo is so much more, and I heard the Quaker Oats and a few. Helena, can you share with us the other products, brands, or brands that fall into that whole PepsiCo banner?
Yes, there's a lot. And so maybe I'll take care of the beverage piece and let one of my foods counterparts take care of the foods piece. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of products that I would say we own and we sell, and there's also partnered brands that we partner with and we distribute their products. So an example of that would be Lipton or Starbucks. But internally, yes, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Bubbly, Aquafina, Gatorade, Trop, lots of the big brands out there. We also have partnerships with SodaStream. So when we think more, future and sustainability, that was, a partnership, an acquisition that Pepsi acquired, I think about 2 years ago now. So continuing to kind of go where the consumer is going from that context.
Wow. And on the food side, Robert, would you want to share?
Yeah, sure. Frito-Lay portfolio, which is just about every big snack brand you can think about. Lay's, Miss Vicky's, Sun Chips, Doritos, Ruffles.
Ruffles,
What else we got in there? Quaker
Smart
Crispy
Food.
Minis.
Yeah.
Smart
right?
Food.
Smart Food. So just about any brand that's in your pantry right now and salty snack could be one of ours. We own Quaker Oats, as mentioned, so all the cereals, Harvest Crunch, Captain Crunch. We've got Pearl Milling brand, which is the pancake brand that just was rebranded from Aunt Jemima to Pearl Milling Company.
Yep.
Rice-A-Roni, the rice company is one of our brands. Cheetos. So, yeah. Yeah. So amazing. I don't know, Frank, Dave, what else we got that's in the food?
Yeah.
I think you hit them. Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I think on the Quaker side as well, we have Chewy, we have dips, we have crispy minis.
Crispy Minis, yeah.
Of course, we have our oats lineup. We also have Bear. We have OTEP on the Frito side.
Yeah.
The Smart Food brand. It's massive.
Yeah, and I think, Ross, what's interesting about PepsiCo is if you look at the overall makeup of the company from a revenue point of view, from a profit point of view, unlike our competitor on the beverage side, that red company, we have a very diversified portfolio. And so when you have, the foods business that we have and the beverage business, we can go into so many day parts, and it's very different versus our competitor. And again, I think that's why you've seen the valuation of our stock. That's why you've seen things, you've seen PepsiCo move so far forward versus that other company, 4-letter company in the red, who's been somewhat stagnant, right? And again, that's no disrespect to them. They're a great competitor, but that's the advantage that we have, is that we have the ability to leverage other great brands and other categories to continue to drive reinvestment back into the business. I mean, you could take a look at the annual report, and that Frito-Lay, as an example, is the absolute driver of profit. Over 54% of global profits come through Frito-Lay. And most people wouldn't realize that, but that's the beauty of a company of our size, and in the different categories they're in. We can make, if one business has a tough year and the other business has a good year, we continue to reinvest and leverage the profit across all the different areas that we're in. And that's the beauty of PepsiCo.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Giovanni has another question, another great question. Giovanni, do you want to come off mute?
Yeah, so that's just a small question. I have a small beverage business. We're called Limestone Beverage Group, and we make tropical herbal teas. So I was just wondering, on a small scale, we want to scale up. So looking at different options, is it better to build your own brewery or look for co-packaging services? I've looked at some options, but would kind of like to get some gain from people who've been in the industry a little bit longer than myself.
Well, you want to go first, Robert? I'll talk about the Frito idea afterwards, but go ahead.
Yeah, and obviously this is, not completely aware of all the details of the size of your business, but our mindset at a PepsiCo level is normally if it's something that's emerging like this, we would not invest capital in production as much as work through co-packers to give you some flexibility. Not only, not having to tie up cash or early stages like that, co-packers give you flexibility on that. And then they also give you flexibility geographically, right? So instead of having to be, shipping from one end of this big country to another, you can potentially, depending on the category, set up multiple co-packers, right? So co-packer is more capital efficient early on. And then your other piece is, how do you get distribution, right? How do you get product in hands, in stores, in restaurants, and, what are your avenues there, right? Whether you look at distribution partners like, that service retail and food service accounts, but you really want to be looking at how do you leverage distribution capacity that's out there in the marketplace as well. And our approach typically on brands is, and we've got a threshold, and Dave might know, but we would normally acquire brands when they hit a certain threshold, right? And then, we do our best to as PepsiCo, when we bring in a brand, and Helena mentioned a bunch of them, but another example is Kavita. It's a kombucha product that we've got. When we acquire a brand like that that's small but growing fast, we tend to try to leave them outside of the big PepsiCo system and let them continue to grow and nurture the brands, and not disrupt that growth too early in the growth curve.
Yeah, you can leverage our distribution systems, but yeah, we don't want to mess it up. They've built it for a reason, right? So let them continue to drive it, but leverage the large distribution capabilities that we have.
Excellent. That's some good advice. I want to change gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask, what advice would you give to a young professional just looking to start their career with with PepsiCo or one of its brands? And I'll just leave that open to either one of you to kind of chat.
I can start this one off. I think what's really important is, having that level, that appreciation of wanting to learn and wanting to learn from the ground up. It's, I think at PepsiCo, really important to have this good understanding of our go-to-market. How do we sell, merch, and deliver our products? To have that relatable perspective when you get into bigger roles. What I would say to new employees too is, hard work and strong results will be rewarded. Be patient. Don't benchmark your careers off your peers, which I think sometimes is a default, and it can do absolutely no good for you. And I think we've got a really strong coaching culture. So a lot of managers are really focused in coaching and developing their people. So take that feedback, whether it's what you want to hear or not, and work on it and kind of have that coachable approach, and that you want to learn and you want to grow.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would add, so Helena's point is a great one. So learn the business from the bottom up. Reason why it's so important to learn the business from the bottom up in an organization. If you want to build trust and respect as a leader, you have to be able to be empathetic and not sympathetic. And the only way you can be empathetic as a leader is if you really understand and you've done you've sat in that person's shoes, or you've walked in that person's shoes and you've done their roles. So one is learn the business. Two, at PepsiCo, if you're going to join us, have a voice. If you have a point of view, share it. We don't hire people from the bottom of their chin down. We hire them from the top of their head down. And so we want people to share their opinions. And if you've got a perspective, share it, and don't kind of just say, oh gosh, I don't want to, share that. They might think it's silly. It's like, no, have a perspective, share it, and have a voice. And then the third one for me, most importantly, is be willing to make a mistake. Okay. And mistakes happen when you make a decision. And so we need people that are comfortable making decisions and be comfortable with sometimes failure. And if it fails, learn from it, move on. But at the end of the day, be confident and comfortable and be willing to make a decision. If it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, we're going to support you. We'll figure out, we'll pivot, we'll do whatever we need to do. But we need leaders that are comfortable with making a decision and comfortable with failure, because it's going to happen. And that's how we learn.
Wow. Yeah. I love the idea around the coaching, right? And being able to, for a young professional, be able to have that coaching and that insights and that growth opportunity. Again, it's not about your next job or your next promotion. It's about what you do with the role that you have and what you've learned from the role that you have. I love it. I really love it. Kadisha had a question that she wanted to ask. Kadisha, you want to come off mute and ask?
Hi, everyone. So I was just curious to know how PepsiCo helped employees transition working remotely, when COVID started, and what is being done to date to keep them motivated during this difficult time?
Great question.
I can touch on this, and I know Dave will probably share more insights on this. So there's been a lot of things that have happened within COVID. So as we transitioned early March of last year, setting up office space within the office, I think that was, if anything, the smallest bit or the easiest bit of what was done. Over time, till date, we've had great speaker series that we've always rolled out to the employees. And these are sessions where you come and hear from professionals, from people in other fields, and learn a thing or two about things probably outside of the field. I wouldn't go into the monetary conversation because there's been a bit done on that as well. But I think what's even important is the sense of support we have. So almost on a weekly basis or on a bi-weekly basis, we get mental health conversation or physical health conversations, things to help you. We also realized, for instance, that our emails or our calendars were getting clogged with meetings here and there. Part of the business stance was to block out certain days where, you know what, no meetings. People should have time to think, people should have time to rest, people should have time to work. Otherwise, you have the entire day for meetings and then begin to work late into the night. And the business didn't want that. So I think there's been a lot of things, and truth be told, I don't even think I know the half of it because some of it were tailored by department, some of it were business-wide. But I think one of the things you see as you look across the business is the support system is massive. Whether it's from your line manager, it's from HR, or it's from XCOM, there are different levels of support system that have been put in place throughout the pandemic, and it's still in place till date.
Excellent.
Frank, you should drop the mic after that one. I couldn't have, I don't think I could have answered that as well. Hey, the only thing I'll add to that is the one thing that we've done through this whole thing is we have never stopped executing our leadership development programs. We have kept our foot on the absolute gas pedal. Immediately, we got our leaders to say, or our people that lead our capability agenda, pivot, get it online, figure out how to deliver. We are not going to slow down. And if anything, we've accelerated leadership development programs in the virtual world. It doesn't take the place of in place. I'd still rather do it in place any day. But we made a conscious decision to not slow that down and keep our foot on the gas pedal. But Frank absolutely nailed that answer. Well done.
Awesome. Dave, you should probably look at recruiting Frank into human resources.
Yeah. I'd be out of a job pretty quickly though, Ross. He'd take my job for me like overnight.
That's the problem, or maybe the goal too,
yeah,
right?
You know what? I'm close to retirement, so that's not a bad idea.
So we have Claudia. Claudia also has a question.
Thank you, Ross, and the BBPA for all the great work that you've been doing. And I just wanted to know if PepsiCo had to do any major layoffs because of COVID, or if COVID was able to have major hires.
Yeah, so I can tell you right now, the answer, we did not lay anybody off. There's not a single person that we laid off due to COVID as part of maybe, other programs that we're running that we were trying to, change our organization or do some small restructures or tweaks. We continued with that, but there was no layoff due to COVID. And to your point earlier, Ross, we actually have hired more people in our field sales organization and our supply chain organization to ensure that we're, making the product and moving the product around. And one of the things is that we did is we like day one put in policies and procedures to protect our employees. Whether we put COVID policies in place, COVID pay policies in place. We wanted people to feel incredibly comfortable. Like, hey, if you felt that you had an issue or you had a pre-existing condition, whatever it may be, we do not want you to feel pressured to come into work. And so we have added extra frontline employees in sales and supply chain to ensure that we have the right number of people to make it and move it and get it across the country. And so because of these policies and procedures, we run with about, on the food side, we're running regularly with people that are off, because of either a COVID issue or a pre-existing health issue that would put them at risk, and we didn't want them to be at risk. And so we wanted, people to feel safe. And so we've added quite a few people. I can't give you the exact number, but it's in the hundreds and hundreds on our sales side, and it's in the hundreds in supply chain as well.
Wow. Excellent, excellent. Well, the most overused word in the pandemic is pivot, and it seems like PepsiCo is a shining example of an organization that pivoted and invested through the pandemic. Feel free to ask any questions. I have one more question for you before we end our time, and this is for each one of you. When the pandemic is over, what will your next trip be? Your first vacation after the pandemic? Where would it be? Where would it be to, and what will you be doing? We'll start with you, Frank, because I see you first.
Okay, that's an interesting one. So a bit of a backstory to that. February 2020, before the pandemic hit, I had booked a ticket to go visit home. So I've been here for almost 3 years. I haven't been home, and I booked a ticket for December of 2020. I had to cancel that ticket, of course, because I couldn't travel as of December of 2020. So the choice is easy for me. Once this pandemic is over, I'm booking a ticket to go home and see my parents and just visit them. I think sometimes I feel a bit homesick. So it's important I just go travel back home and see my parents.
And where is home for you?
Yes, I was going to say that in case you're wondering. Home is Nigeria. I'm originally from Nigeria. So
can I come?
Oh, sure, you can. You'll pay for your ticket, but you can.
Awesome. Helena?
I would just say anywhere. I have a lot of close girlfriends that live across the country and across the world, to be honest. And we're just looking forward to being together, no matter where that is, even if it's in someone's backyard or just the fact that we can all get together.
Awesome. And Dave?
Well, first of all, I see the picture. It says your car gal, Claudia. I want to go for a drive with Claudia in her cars, because if those are Claudia's cars, I want to go for a drive with her. Hey, so for me, actually, it's pretty simple. I have a son in the US who goes to school in the US. He's a collegiate baseball player, and I have not seen him since kind of November. And so I'd love to go down and see him. He's in New York area, so I'd love to go down and see him. That will be the first thing we go do. We haven't seen him since November, so that'll be my trip.
Awesome. And Robert?
Yeah, mine will be pretty close, but I'll be heading to Ottawa. I've got a mother and a brother and a sister in the Ottawa area, and I haven't seen them since last summer, and look forward to getting up and giving everybody up there a big hug.
Yeah, simple pleasures that we didn't look at before the pandemic, and now all of a sudden, I'm from St. Lucia in the Caribbean myself, and I can't wait to book a ticket to head back home, just to see family and friends. So anyways, it was great spending time with you today and really understanding a little bit more about PepsiCo. And what a great organization that you all work for. Before we end, I would like to share. Oh, Fran, your hand's up.
I just wanted to say, I think it was Dave or Robert who talked about the building leaders and taking risks. Not that I want to take you away from the sunshine of St. Lucia or going to Nigeria, but I thought I should have said that before, and it reminded me in graduate school about a FedEx employee who really hired a plane to deliver a package because they had to get it before Christmas. And he said, I really didn't think about what the consequences would be, but I thought about this person really needed to get the package for Christmas. And that has always been the lesson that remained with me when we talk about risk taking and building leaders. So I just wanted to sort of endorse that, because I think, coming from the corporate world, having spent 35 years in the corporate world, that's really what gets your employees to stay, when they feel that they're allowed to take risks, not ridiculous risks, but they're allowed and not punished if the risks don't result in the rewards that they expect. So I just wanted to sort of add that and say that it reminded me of graduate school, and I think it's a great characteristic to have and to encourage your employees. That's
a great example. Great example, Francis.
Thanks.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to just take some time out to share, before we end, some of our programs. So next, tomorrow, actually, we launch our BAIDS program, which is a program that exists to support Black-owned businesses by providing them the services that they need in order to accelerate their business. So whether it be from a financial accounting standpoint or human resources, the BBPA provides the services for them. So we're actually launching BAIDS tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So we'll look forward to seeing some of you there. On Tuesdays and every Tuesday, we've started up again with our Boss Women program. A program that seeks to bring out the entrepreneurial spirit in women in our Black community. It's an excellent program. So be sure to join us. On Tuesday afternoons at 2 o'clock, we have our Level Up program, which is a financial literacy program specifically for small businesses, Black-owned small businesses. And I happen to be on the last two sessions, and we're talking about negotiation and how to negotiate as a smaller business. So looking forward to that. Every Saturday, we have our community space, and it's an opportunity for the community to come together. And we're featuring financial literacy for young adults. And that too is every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And it's great to see young adults and youth in full force of over 200 coming in and being part of that program at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I don't think I can get my kids out of bed at 10 a.m. So it's great to see that. And next Wednesday, we will have our next installment of Ask a Professional. And Mac will put it up here, where we'll be having Dwight Townsend, who will be talking about navigating the pandemic, and help and a resource for a black person. So I'm looking forward to that, and that is next Wednesday. To our panelists, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation, this important conversation with us about your organization. We at BBPA look forward to having more dialogue as to how we can work together. We applaud your efforts in diversity in your organization, but also the roadmap that you have in hiring your leaders and training them and coaching them and taking them to the next level. So thank you so much. And to everybody who joined us today, thank you for joining, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Have a pleasant afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Ross.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Ross.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.